Manila, August 24, 2025. Tensions erupt in the Sulu Sea, sending shockwaves through the region and beyond. A Philippine naval vessel and a Malaysian patrol craft now find themselves locked in a tense standoff near the disputed maritime boundary off Sabah, their hulls slicing through the choppy waters as they hold their positions. Both nations lay claim to these resource-rich waters, believed to hold vast reserves of oil, gas, and fisheries. Neither side is willing to back down, knowing what's at stake. Radio channels crackle with terse warnings and coded messages as each side demands the other withdraw, the tension palpable in every transmission. This confrontation is no accident. It's the culmination of months of escalating rhetoric, military exercises, and naval posturing by both countries. The world watches anxiously as two ASEAN neighbors, once partners in regional security, now teeter on the brink of open conflict. The BRP Jose Rizal, a modern Philippine frigate bristling with advanced weaponry, holds its ground. Its crew stands on high alert, eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of escalation. Across the water, the KD Lekiu, a formidable Malaysian frigate, mirrors every move, its own crew equally vigilant and prepared for any eventuality. These ships are more than just steel and technology, they're powerful symbols of national will, pride, and sovereignty. Over the past year, both countries have dramatically ramped up naval patrols, crowding the region with warships and increasing the risk of accidental clashes. Manila, emboldened by a renewed and strengthened U.S. alliance, has adopted a more assertive stance in defending its maritime claims. Kuala Lumpur, under growing domestic and international pressure to defend its sovereignty, responds in kind, determined not to appear weak. The immediate trigger for this crisis, a Philippine attempt to resupply a remote marine outpost, an act Malaysia views as a direct violation of the fragile status quo. Malaysia quickly dispatched its own vessel to intercept, leading to a tense standoff that has now lasted over 48 hours, with no end in sight. Behind the scenes, diplomats scramble in urgent meetings, working the phones in a desperate bid to de-escalate the situation before it spirals out of control. Out at sea, the fate of regional peace rests with the captains and their crews. One wrong move, one miscalculation, could spark disaster on a scale not seen in decades. This standoff is the most visible sign of a broader, more dangerous trend, a crowded maritime space where military and civilian vessels jostle for position. For now, the professionalism and discipline of both crews is the only thing preventing open hostility as they carry out their duties under immense pressure. The world holds its breath, watching every development as the standoff continues and the risk of conflict remains ever present. To truly grasp today's crisis, we must journey back through the tangled threads of history, where colonial ambitions and local sovereignties collided. The dispute over Sabah, formerly known as North Borneo, traces its roots to a pivotal 19th century agreement between the Sultanate of Sulu and a British trading company, setting the stage for a conflict that would echo for generations. In 1878, the Sultan of Sulu signed a deal with British interests. The exact meaning of this agreement, its translation and intent, remains fiercely debated to this day, fueling nationalistic passions on both sides. The Philippines claims the word pajak means lease, not sale, arguing that sovereignty over Sabah was never truly surrendered and that the land was only temporarily entrusted. Malaysia, however, insists it means cession, a permanent legal transfer of territory, finalized and binding under international law. Annual payments from Malaysia are interpreted by the Philippines as rent for the land, while Malaysia views them as a token gesture, a relic of a bygone era with no bearing on sovereignty. When Britain transferred Sabah to Malaysia in 1963, the Philippines protested, seeing it as the British giving away territory that was never truly theirs to begin with. Malaysia points to the principle of self-determination. Sabah's people voted to join Malaysia, a decision recognized by the United Nations and much of the international community. For Malaysia, the matter is settled and closed. For the Philippines, it remains unfinished business, a lingering wound in the national psyche. The claim has simmered for decades, occasionally boiling over during moments of crisis, such as the 2013 Lahad Datu standoff, which brought the dispute back into global headlines. At one point, the Philippine Constitution even defined its national territory to explicitly include Sabah, underscoring the depth of the claim. Diplomatic relations between the two countries have generally remained stable, but the Sabah claim is always the elephant in the room, quietly shaping policy and public opinion. Today's naval tensions and maritime patrols are just the latest chapter in this unresolved saga, as both nations remain vigilant over their claims. The ghosts of colonial-era deals still haunt the present, reminding us that history's shadows can stretch far into the future, shaping the destinies of nations. The Sabah dispute has resurfaced due to rising nationalism and great power rivalry. In both Manila and Kuala Lumpur, leaders tap nationalist sentiment to shore up support. In the Philippines, assertive foreign policy and standing up for sovereignty are popular causes. Malaysia too faces pressure to defend its territory. Any weakness could be politically costly. This dynamic pushes both sides toward confrontation, leaving little room for compromise. The local rivalry is now entangled in the US-China competition. The Philippines has strengthened its US alliance, gaining military support and confidence. China's assertiveness in the South China Sea has set a precedent, encouraging others to be bolder. Malaysia tries to balance economic ties with China and security concerns, complicating its position. The Sabah dispute is now a piece on the region's geopolitical chessboard. The crisis highlights a stark difference in strategy. The Philippines pursues assertive transparency, publicizing every encounter and leveraging its US alliance. Manila aims to rally international support and deter aggression through publicity. Malaysia prefers quiet diplomacy, handling disputes behind closed doors to avoid escalation. Kuala Lumpur values stable relations with all major powers, hedging between the US and China. The Philippines' strategy is shaped by its alliance with the US and its need to compensate for military shortfalls. Malaysia's approach is rooted in non-alignment, economic pragmatism, and a desire for autonomy. These contrasting strategies reflect each nation's history and geopolitical realities. The result, a tense standoff with each side playing to its strengths. The Philippines and Malaysia's military strategies reflect their divergent approaches. The Philippines is rapidly modernizing, shifting from internal security to external defense, aided by US support. Its Navy and Air Force are growing but still lag behind regional peers. Malaysia's military is more balanced and conventionally equipped, but modernization has slowed due to budget constraints. The LCS procurement scandal has hampered Malaysia's naval upgrades. Malaysia fields advanced fighter jets and submarines, giving it an edge in air and undersea warfare. The Philippines relies on joint operations with the US to bolster its capabilities. Each side has strengths and weaknesses, but both are determined to defend their claims. The military balance adds another layer of complexity to the standoff. Alliances and autonomy are central to the Sabah standoff, shaping the strategies and mindsets of both nations as they navigate this tense dispute. The Philippines leans heavily on its US alliance, gaining deterrence and a sense of security, though it risks being drawn deeper into great power rivalry between Washington and Beijing. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement gives the US access to Philippine bases, boosting Manila's confidence and signaling a strong commitment to mutual defense. Malaysia fiercely guards its strategic autonomy, avoiding binding alliances and promoting ASEAN centrality as the foundation of its foreign policy. Kuala Lumpur's non-alignment allows it to engage all sides, especially China, its top trading partner, while maintaining flexibility in its diplomatic choices. The Philippine approach brings military benefits and international support, but also makes it a potential target in the escalating US-China tensions in the region. Malaysia's autonomy offers flexibility and independence, but it also means relying on its own capabilities and resources in a crisis, without guaranteed external support. The effectiveness of each strategy is context-dependent, and the Sabah standoff puts both approaches to a real-world test, revealing their strengths and vulnerabilities. In this crisis, Malaysia stands alone on the diplomatic stage, while the Philippines counts on its alliance for backing and leverage. The outcome of this standoff may reshape how both nations approach security and alliances in the future, influencing the broader balance of power in Southeast Asia. The Sabah standoff threatens ASEAN unity and regional stability. ASEAN was built on consensus and peaceful dispute resolution. A clash between members would shatter this foundation. The conflict risks dividing the bloc, paralyzing decision-making, and inviting outside interference. A peaceful settlement would reaffirm ASEAN's strength and set a precedent for resolving other disputes. Failure to de-escalate could trigger a new era of rivalry and militarization in Southeast Asia. The Sabah dispute is more than a bilateral issue, it's a test of ASEAN's maturity. The choices made now will echo across the region, shaping its future. Southeast Asia stands at a crossroads: integration or fragmentation.